Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia.
And so I want to take a moment to introduce Aaron Fryer. Aaron is, as I said, an associate with the Institute for Christian Unity. He is also a graduate of Hellenic College, Holy Cross Greek Orthodox School of Theology, so he knows well of what he speaks. His church is the Bulgarian Orthodox Church, and he'll tell you more about that. And Aaron is also part of our We Advisory Group. So he joins us along with Reverend Stephen Johnson and Reverend Cheryl Kerr. The four of us helped to plan these We Forums, and Aaron has been terrific. As you'll see, he's a very gifted individual, and he's got a wonderful heart for the unity of the church. And so we are just very glad to have Aaron here tonight. And with that, if you would join me in welcoming Aaron.
Thank you, Matt. So I'd like to say a few words, just about 5 minutes, about what you're about to experience, and give a little bit of a context, introduce my choir. I have a friend who's come all the way from Syracuse, New York tonight to join us. His name is David. He's going to read some of the prayers, and my daughters are going to help me to sing the service tonight with you and for you. You have been given a piece of paper to follow along with tonight. My apologies in advance. I meant to make it a little bit fuller so that all the prayers were included. But this is a basic roadmap of the Orthodox Vesper service. And at certain times, as I'm praying it, I'll invite you to pray along with the prayers that are printed in full on that sheet of paper.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one.
Amen. Psalm 103. Bless the Lord. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice in him with trembling. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy mountain. And as with oil thou hast anointed me, O Christ our God, bind up my wounds with linen, and in thy compassion bring me to thy heavenly kingdom. If thou shouldst embark iniquities, O Lord, who shall stand? For with thee there is forgiveness, thy martyrs, O Lord. The reason for worship, theologically, in all five senses, is simple. God became fully incarnate in our humanity that we might be fully like him in his divinity. It spoke a little bit about this in the service tonight. I could read to you after my talk the specific section. As St. Peter says in his epistle, that we might become sharers in his divine nature. Our full, complete salvation depends on Christ's full and complete incarnation, which is why the Apostle John in his first epistle testifies, quote, that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked at, and our hands have touched. This we proclaim concerning the word of life. Right now, I'd like to offer just a little explanation of some of the things that you've seen, heard, smelt, touched, and maybe not quite tasted tonight, and then reserve the bulk of our time together for what I hope will be a fruitful time of question and answer. Number one, a sense of sight. The holy icons are sometimes referred to as windows into heaven. The Greek word ikon, from which icon comes, simply means image. The most important distinction that we make as Orthodox Christians is that we don't consider kissing the icon as worshiping the icon, or even worshiping the person behind the icon. We are simply giving veneration to the icon. Okay? So I'll just give you an example because you didn't see anybody do it tonight. But usually when the Orthodox Christian comes into the church, they'll make the sign of the cross and kiss the icon. That's what I'm referring to. We don't consider that worship, we consider it veneration. And the honor that we give to the image passes to the prototype that the image represents. So if the Virgin Mary was standing here, of course I wouldn't be kissing her image. I would kiss her, the person. And that glory or that honor, of course, the saint passes directly to God. We're all interconnected. Okay? So in this sense, it's not idolatry. It's not as if, the icon is by itself. This person is kind of alone. They're all connected with God. Number 2, the sense of hearing. In our Vesper service tonight, which I apologize for, it's not quite as mellifluous as I wanted it to be, or as wonderful as some of the chant that we're going to play after the service tonight is. But that's a good encouragement for you to actually attend a good Orthodox church, and I can give you some places to go. In our Orthodox service tonight, Vesper service, we have attempted to give your ear a few samples from the 2 great styles of Orthodox music, namely that of the Russian and the Greek Byzantine style. The order followed is how we would say a Vespers on Friday, the 4th week of Great Lent. I might think about it, the 5th week of Great Lent. So you heard distinctly Lenten prayers like the one that we prostrated for in the prayer of Saint Ephrem. As most of you are all heading into Holy Week, and next week, we still have at least one more week to go until ours comes the first full week of April. Number 3, the sense of smell. Probably one of the senses to be greeted upon your arrival here was the sense of smell. I tried not to make it too overwhelming because sometimes it's new to some people and some people are allergic to it. Incense is used extensively in Orthodox worship to symbolize our prayers which rise up to God. As we sing in one of our Lenten liturgies, echoing the psalmist, quote, "Let my prayer arise in thy sight as incense, and the lifting up of my hands be an evening sacrifice," end quote. It is one of the most powerful tools of remembering God and being in his presence. Number 4, the sense of touch. As a very intimate sense, some of what we practice in the Orthodox Church might be a little too foreign to some of you. I was going to have my daughters demonstrate how to greet each other with a holy kiss. Maybe I can demonstrate with my good friend Aaron. So when Orthodox greet each other, they go 3 if they're Russian for the sign of the Holy Trinity, or the Greeks oftentimes do the 2 kisses right in the cheek for the 2 natures of Christ. Thank you, Aaron. This is in direct, following the commandment, what St. Paul said, to greet each other with a holy kiss. And there's a little theology with that holy kiss as well. Finally, the sense of taste. Concerning taste, I wanted to offer tonight something of what we call holy bread. And this is not an official vessel of the church, but it's kind of a sweet little thing that we keep our holy bread in at home. What is holy bread? In Greek, it's called antidoron. Looks like antidoron if it's transliterated. And it means translated literally instead of the gifts. But we believe that like communion, holy bread, which is offered after communion, should be consumed on an empty stomach. It should be the first thing that you eat in the morning. So it is more appropriate to eat it just after your morning prayer, before breakfast, or if you have devotions in the morning. I have brought our own container from home, along with to demonstrate our own family practice. I do have antidoron, which I'm pleased to offer you at the end of the service, but I would just ask that you would follow our custom and maybe take it home and have it first thing in the morning after your devotions. So, if you ever visit a liturgy in the Orthodox Church, please know that you are blessed to receive this bread as a guest of the church, and even if you do not partake of Holy Communion, not being Orthodox. I will conclude with the words of the great Prince Vladimir, who over 1,000 years ago sent emissaries all over the world to go church shopping. Yes, it's not just a 21st century or 20th century phenomenon. Notice, though, that he did not chiefly inquire about the belief, but the practice of belief in each of the nations that he visited, that his emissaries went to. His emissaries came back and reported to him, and after giving disparaging reports of Muslims, Jews, and yea, even German Catholics, I always think that they might have been better off visiting the French or the Italian Catholics. His envoys famously concluded, quote, "Then we went to Greece, and the Greeks led us to the edifices where they worship their God, and we knew not whether we were in heaven or on earth. For on earth there is no such splendor or beauty, and we are at a loss how to describe it. We only know that God dwells there among men, and their service is fairer than the ceremonies of other nations. For we cannot forget that beauty." This, my friends, was my own experience in the Orthodox Church. Is there beauty in other Christian churches? Most certainly. But I personally could not forget that beauty, the beauty of the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church.
You had mentioned when you kissed the icon, the distinction you made was that this was not worship, it was veneration.
Veneration.
So could you define, I'm very interested to hear how you would define worship and veneration. Could you define those two words relative to what you're...
Yes, good question. So veneration means giving honor to someone, and I can unpack it a little bit more. I started to say that it's a little bit like the honor that you give to a photograph of one you dearly love, when the person is not there physically or hypostatically, we might say as theologians. So you love them so much, you get out this picture of them, their wife. I always carry a picture of my family with me. And, let's say I'm off away somewhere and lonesome for them, and I kiss them and hold them dear to my heart, okay? That's a little bit honoring them. In the Eastern traditions, especially among the Asians, they bow, right, to one another. It's a little bit more exalted than that because the saint, we believe, is close to God, and they bring our intercessions to God, So we on an earthly level, when especially the mother, when you don't feel like you can approach your father, but you know that you can approach your mother because she always will hear you and she'll always listen to you. So we have the same sense towards especially the Blessed Virgin Mother, the Theotokos we call her, which means the one who bore God, in her womb. And so when we kiss her icon, we talk to her about all of our troubles, and she talks to the Lord. So, of course, we can go directly to the Lord, but it's good to share. Just on an earthly level, you have a problem and you want to talk about it with a multitude of people to get multitude of opinions and advice. Okay.
Staying on the subject of icons, I actually have the icon to your left there of Jesus next to my bed at home. And a friend got it for me from Greece, and he told me that it was Jesus the teacher. And I was wondering, as the slideshow was going, I saw that there were some other icons of Jesus. And so are there set icons of
good
different...
question. Oh, great. I'm glad you were watching the slideshow closely. Matt was asking, the other Matt was asking me this question. Matt Crane was asking me this question at the beginning. Icons are done of the same saint, in this case, the Lord himself, in different styles. And so you're right, this one is Christ the teacher because he's holding the gospel and he's teaching us something. There is at least one other one that I can describe called, and we often see the icon of Christ in a large dome in an Orthodox church. If you look up, you see it at the very top. And that's a huge icon of Christ. In the Greek, it's called Pantokrator, which means the creator of all. Panto means all, and krator is creator. And this just emphasizes his creation and his looking over all of creation. Alleluia, alleluia.